Hey everybody, welcome back to my Eurovision React Review channel. So today was day 8, where the Big Five had their second rehearsals. Now disclaimer, because I realise that maybe people tuning into this aren't a subscriber. I'm going to talk about what I've seen. So I have an online press pass, which my subscribers know. So I'm just going to kind of talk to you about what I've been able to see in the online press centre. So obviously I've been able to see what we will see in the final, because all these going straight into the final, right? The first thing I want to say, I haven't even showered this morning. I literally woke up, go straight to my computer, and have just watched what has been the best morning I can remember. Like, I was out till quite late last night, so I'm still feeling a bit but it was a fantastic tonic to watch the Big Five this morning. I was sitting here being like, is this happening? If you are French, if you're Italian, if you're British, if you're Spanish, if you're German, honestly, you will be so proud with what the Big Five are delivering this year. And I kid you not, there is a total scenario whereby the big... And I'm going to put... I'll talk about Germany later, but I want to put them in the ring because I just was really surprised how much I quite loved Malik's performance, what I've just seen. That was the one that I've just seen. So I've just watched his second take and I'm now recording this. There is a world where we could see some of the Big Five competing against each other for the win, because what I saw today was epic. So let's go to my notes. Let's start off with France. We didn't see the first take in the online press centre. There was a bit of drama there. People rightfully so kick it off. We got to see the second and third take. The second take, all I'll say to you before I talk about the third take, it was very, very green. And you'll be able to see the snippet. I don't know if they've released the snippets yet, but you'll be able to see in the snippets the colour scheme that France is going for. This kind of like, I want to call it a slime green, but that's probably not very flattering, but you'll get what I mean. I had alien green written down at one point. I was just like, the colour is just the same colour for the 3 minutes. Now, the third take, it just completely changed. So basically, they're kind of tapping into the kind of tribal imagery in regards to the patterns, both on the LED flooring and also in the background. Disclaimer, I'll talk about it at the end, but I should have said at the beginning, I don't know whether the Big Five have had a huge advantage because they've had more time to work with the semi-sun that's not working. Every single one of these five, you just don't know that the fact that part of the stage is not working. So with France, they have cleverly got these kind of three kind of cyclical patterns on the LED screens, but the one in the middle frames the sun. So it's almost like it becomes part of the setting, which I thought was genius. And I love the patterns on the LED flooring. They don't do enough shots from above. They do it 2 or 3 times because someone's spent a lot of time creating that. Show that off more because it looks really, really effective. What else do I want to say? So basically they've got the LED green tribal pattern. They've got the tribal pattern on the LED screen. And like I said, the one in the middle frames the sun. And then they've got on either side these 2 strobe lights effectively of the same color green. Looks really, really good. Now, as I said to you, the second take that I saw, I was like, oh, this is really, really green. Shake up the colors. Third, they do. And they do it in the following ways. The 3 girls start on a platform, steps, and then they come off of it. But after that, you've got this smoke effect behind with blue lights, which is like kind of giving a real kind of, well, the song is about like magic. We'll say magical, mystical. And then it's just pyro. So the color of the pyro, the kind of yellows and oranges, shakes things up. Because it was very, very green. And they've got the fire pits as well. So actually in the third take, I was just watching it being like, this all works now. Because before it was very green. But with the pyro, with the blue smoke and with the fire pits, it just works. I've just put, after the first chorus, lights then project over the audience from the side. Oh yeah, so after the first chorus, then what we have are these kind of, again, strobe lights coming from the side of the stadium over the audience. It looks really good. And it's pyro. I'm going to be honest with you. we know this. If you look at my top 40, France, as it got released, kind of kept sliding down. I loved it. Like, I really, really loved it. Again, it's really interesting seeing the different takes because evidently the delegations are playing around with camera angles. Because the second take, I just didn't think it quite worked because obviously you've effectively got three things going on stage. You've got him, the main singer, you've got the three girls, and you've got the dancer. And there were just moments where it was like cutting to each person for cutting to each person's sake. So we quickly see the dancer, we quickly see him, we quickly see the ladies, but it just didn't really work. It was almost like this, but it didn't seem to be as obvious in the third take. This is doing something different. We don't have any other song that sounds like this. We don't have any other staging that looks like this. France, be very, very proud, because historically, you can be very hit and miss with your staging. But it looks so effective. It looks like someone has spent a lot of money on this. It all works together. This is going to do well. For a song that I thought could potentially be... I kind of thought this song would either do kind of really well or kind of could flop. No, the staging elevates this. It all works. Well done, France. Then we get to Italy. So Blanco has arrived today. I was saying to colleagues yesterday when they were like, oh, how's Italy going? I was like, well, the first rehearsal didn't really go anywhere because Mahmood was on his own. Mahmood and Blanco are just huge here. And in fact, they all said, well, of course Blanco wasn't there. He had a concert. Like, they don't know anything about Eurovision. I think only one of them had heard the Brividi song, but they all knew Blanco had a concert. So this is how big these guys are. Firstly, I want to talk about what they're wearing. I wasn't a huge fan of what Blanco was wearing in Sanremo, but what they're wearing is amazing. They complement each other well, right? So Mahmood's got black, and then Blanco's got this kind of, loungewear white. They work really, really well together. So it starts off with Mahmood singing a cappella, which I thought brave, but again, he's a seasoned performer, he's a professional, he knows what he's doing. And so I was just checking if I was recording because that would be a nightmare. So it starts off so effective. It's a black stage, and basically there's projected lights on him, and there's white lights, coming from the piano. There's someone on the piano. In fact, you could hear on the mic just before they did the first take, he said something about like, this is my 5 minutes of fame. I was like, oh yeah, it is. And then you've got lights coming from this side. Really, really effective. The start is very, very good. And then the music comes in, and then by the end of the first verse, Blanco joins him, walks from the back to the front. Now, each take, they had 3 takes. They had a different camera angle when they meet. They had one from the back, I can't remember the other one, and one from the front, looking at both of them. If anyone's watching this from the Italian delegation, choose the one from the front. So when Blanco meets him and puts his arm around him, choose the one from the front, because that's more effective than the one from behind. Not like anyone's going to actually watch this. Listen, I am not into conspiracy theories, and I'm going to say this, and people are going to take it as a conspiracy theory. This is one of the only performance I've seen where it's almost like the fact that the sun doesn't work works. They have incorporated it into the staging seamlessly. So because the back is effectively black for the first part, it just blends in, so you don't even notice it. Then they basically got lights on it to make it look like sparkling, so like stars. Really, really, really seamless. Honestly, when you watch it in the final, you understand what I mean. It's part of the staging. It's not this thing that they're trying to work around. It's part of the staging, and it's really, really effective. Yeah, but the black is very, very black, so it blends. So the sun blends in, lights on it. It's like twinkling stars, and then the LED screen is still black, but you have these bubbles, like small little bubbles coming up. It just all works really, really well. The final bridge, there's lots of lights, and it's a moment. It's a moment, and basically, I'll talk about this. Spain does this as well. I don't know why more delegations don't do this. They've got a cage of lights that they lower. And then at the end, or kind of the last third, they've lowered this cage of lights. And so behind Blanco and Mahmood is basically like 300 lights, like a light, not like a light show. Really, really, really effective. Very, very good. I was watching it. The first take that they did, I was like, oh yeah, this isn't winning. And then they must have said to Blanco and Mahmood, perform. Like there was no chemistry between both of them. They were just going through the motions. I get it as a rehearsal, but the second one, like I said, someone must be like, this is great, we've got the camera angles, but can you actually perform? Because after the second take, I was like, oh, the magic's back, the chemistry is back, the emotion is back. And honestly, can Italy win for a second time? Yes. Yeah. And like I said, the staging, they've incorporated that sun in a way that it's part of the staging. It's almost like if that wasn't there, they'd still bring it in. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. That's rubbish. But I know people would be like, Italy did this deliberately. No. I was laughing with colleagues yesterday because obviously I saw the first rehearsal snippet. And there wasn't much to go by, right? But I joked being like, it looks awful. I think Italy are throwing it this year because they don't want to host it again based on all the drama that's happened this year. No, that's complete opposite what I've seen. Italy's going for it again. They're genuinely, but again, I'm assuming there is so much money behind this act, right? Mahmood, Blanco, their record labels, everything about this just screams professionalism. If it looks like a concert. I don't know why I'm doing that. There's nothing there. Italy, amazing. The United Kingdom, I have hardly anything written down for this because I sat there for all three takes being like, as a British person, I cannot tell you how proud I am. Like, it's ironic that the song before is Brividi, which is basically Goosebumps. Yeah. I had that for all three takes. Sam Ryder, you are an absolute legend. You're gonna bring so much pride to British people. Oh my goodness, I don't want to be that Brit. Like say, if we don't do top 10, then we just need to boycott this. But I do kind of feel like that now. Like, he's amazing. Yes, obviously my channel is a testament to the fact that I don't listen to the song a lot. But we cannot do anything more this year, I don't think. We've got a credible artist with a credible radio-friendly sound, with a staging that is just epic. So I kind of do want to say, if we don't finish top 10, then I think I just think there'll be a lot of broken British hearts. And I was looking at the staging and I went back and watched Suri's Storms, Dollars, and I just had a little chuckle to myself, being like, we've come along so far. We've come along so far. Look, this is amazing. It's amazing. We've all seen that staging in the images, right? So these four kind of things that have lights around him. It looks amazing. It starts off with him, close camera angle on him, and then at the end of the verse where you hear that kind of like plane taking off, that I'm up, and that the staging lights up in unison with it, like we're taking off on a flight. It's just brilliant. And then the camera angles are fantastic because what it is it's effectively so obviously it lights up and then it's focusing on him and then someone circles around. And then obviously Sam's moving, like obviously circling with the camera. He's on this small pedestal that's lit up like a white light. And then for the second verse, the cameraman you can't see the cameraman. The cameraman goes into the cage and then the camera angle is looking up at him and it's kind of circling. It's honestly, you just never bored. And then by the time you think, okay, let's do something more now, you're just in this cage. No, don't get me wrong. I'm sitting here being like, okay, this is amazing, but I do not. How do I say this? I was just thinking, are we going to do something else, or is it just going to be him standing just in this central thing with the same color scheme and just relying on this visual spectacular of these four kind of cage things that are lit up around him? And you get it. So basically, for the final chorus, what happens, they need to sort out the camera angles, is these four things are lowered, but every single take, annoyingly, you could see the stage people lower them. But they'll sort that out, right? And then the colour scheme changes to kind of a yellowy orangey colour scheme. And then we have this guitar solo. So they've changed the production of the song slightly at the end. And he's doing this, playing the guitar, living his best life. But he's also singing as well. Not as in singing along, he's vamping, right? And then just at the end of it, you're just sat there being like, that was everything I wanted and more. And you could say, yeah, you're biased, Shane, because you're British. Yeah, fine. But also, I'd like to think that I'm not as biased because I've openly confessed on my channel that it's not my favourite song this year. So take that as you will. Sam Ryder, whoever has produced that staging, because there has to be an idea, not who's kind of made everything, but there must be a brain that said, this is what we are going to do for these 3 minutes, and this is what we're going to see, and this is what's going to be on stage. Whoever has done that for you, that person needs every award I can think of, an Oscar, an OBE from the Queen, a knighthood, a Nobel Peace Prize. Like, it's just absolute genius. And also, I must say, there's a lot of hype and talk about Chanel's outfit this year. That same hype needs to go for what Sam's wearing. This kind of bodysuit, this velvet bodysuit with kind of stars and planet. It's amazing. I am so proud. Anyway, before I go too crazy, let's move on to the next one. Spain. This is what I'm saying. Italy, amazing. France, like, exceeded my expectations. The UK. And then we get to Spain. Like, right, okay, so let's talk about Spain. Obviously, I've just said it. It starts off dark, right? And so you can see the silhouette of her and the two dancers. She starts off behind. You can't see the faces. It's black silhouettes. And they've added in different sound bites to this song. I was going to play it for you. You know that my humps, the Black Eyed Peas. You know the beginning part where you hear this, I don't know what the wind instrument is, like a Spanish trumpet? It's probably just a trumpet. People are like, it's just a trumpet, Shane. But they've added this Spanish wind instrument thing at the beginning. And then you can hear, they've added a soundbite of steps, and she steps to, like, and you're just sat there being like, what's about to happen? So you're automatically, and that's a good 7-8 seconds that they've taken out of the song, but it's perfect. It's the best start. And then obviously we kick in. She looks amazing. I do want to use this opportunity to say, they've gone for a Spanish-inspired, in regards to the imagery on what she's wearing. They've added in this Spanish trumpet. She's got the fan. All of those haters who basically said she's not Spanish, she's from somewhere else, well, they couldn't have added any more Spanish parts to these 3 minutes to be like, this is Spain. It's very, very good. Anyway, yeah, I've just put... and there's other subtle differences in the production as well. When she goes there, pa, 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 it's broken up even more. So each pa, pa, it's individualized in the production. Really, really, really effective. I mean, I've heard this song a million times. I've watched this performance a million times. So these subtle changes, I'm sitting here being like, because obviously I'm so familiar with it now. So I'm loving it. They have also... oh my gosh, camera angles, perfection. And everything, there is a camera angle just in front of the stage, and all you're seeing is her and her dancers. And then there are other camera angles with, again, someone on stage from the side or from the back. It is all intimate. And that might sound boring to you, but it absolutely isn't. So then we get to the dance break. Before we get to the dance break, they have that Spanish trumpet come in just to kind of tease us into it. It's amazing. It's not too dissimilar to the dance. I think a lot of people said because of the music video that we were going to be treated to something. Apparently there was something, because in the music video, when she does the dance break, it's silence, and people were basically saying, oh, it's a nod to like wait for the dance break on the Eurovision stage. There isn't anything different, I will be honest, what I noticed in regards to the dance break. But again, it's amazing. We love the dance break, how it was in Benidorm Fest. It's still the same. So we have the Spanish wind instrument before the dance break. Right, and then they use that cage of lighting. Then the cage of lighting comes behind them. So the same cage as Italy's, but the colour scheme is different. I don't know why more delegations aren't using this. Like, it's really, really amazing. It's a huge cage with just lights on it. And if people are struggling with their staging right now, use that. Lower it, get the camera there, and just have the camera angle on that person with the lights behind them. It's so effective. Then she has the fan, again, a nod to Spain. Oh my goodness. And then before the final, she does a kind of Ariana, well, she hasn't got the voice of Ariana Grande, but she goes, my issue, this is my number one song, right? I love this song. I've professed so many times. This is my number one of 2022. I want this to win. But in that final, even when I watch in Benidorm Fest, I'm like, I want something more. I want that kind of climax at the end of the song in regards to the performance. We get it this time. So she does this kind of Ariana Grande note, but it's not that note. She goes, more. And then she's vamping. And so she's with the dancers and she goes, and like with her voice, she's giving us the climax. And oh my God. So after the second take, I was like, this is everything. Oh my God, Spain is totally in contention for winning. And like a lot of people, when this won, were comparing this to Fuego, right? Eleni from Cyprus. This is better. Like, I remember watching that being like, wow. I watched the second take and I was like, nah, this is better. When we get to the third take, obviously they've got to kind of sparingly use their pyros, right? It'd be interesting to see what clip that they release from this, because in the third take, we got pyro, and that last 15 seconds there is the firework shower effect behind her. So they obviously it's that kind of drop of, it's a firework, right, behind her, like a shower of lights falling down. Amazing. Pyro. You get the climax through her vamping, and they up the energy of the dance. At one point, that dancer nearly drops her because she really goes for it, and he's like, oh. So you get the climax through the energy of the dancers and her kind of like doing these notes and the pyro. Spain, oh my goodness, I cannot wait for you to see your girl Chanel next Saturday, because you're going to be so proud. And then we have Germany, which I was there being like, okay, so I need to watch Germany, then I can do this. And I was only going to watch the first take, but I enjoyed the first take so much. I was like, oh, I want to watch the second take. That was really sweet. I haven't typed this up. I've got it written down. So he starts on the key. So I saw images of this and I was like, it looks like a hot mess. And it looks like he's just going to basically show everyone that he can play all these instruments. That's not what happens. The instruments is actually props. So staging around him that he doesn't really use. But it starts off on the keyboard, and my only critique, and I haven't got very many because I actually loved it, and actually I really want to listen to it now because I was just there being like, this is lovely. He starts off on this keyboard thing, and there's something on the keyboard that's really distracting. I don't know what it is, but he pushes something. It must be, I'm not a music producer, so it must be something along the lines of, because it's weird, because he's playing the piano and then he stands up, but the piano, you can still hear the piano in the production, so it just screams, you're not playing that live, and we know that he's not. But he presses something before he stands up, so maybe music producers are like, oh yeah, the pressing thing means that it's now going to play what he's just played. I don't know, I didn't get it. And then he then goes and does that thing that I'm worried about. He then starts hitting the drum thing, the kind of, those plates. And I was like, oh, we're just going to have him just playing every bloody thing on that stage. Nah, this is the first 15, 20 seconds. And then he goes into the center with his guitar and he doesn't move. That it's just that first 15 seconds. I would say sort that out. I don't even think he needs to do that. Because actually, what Germany needs to be applauded for is realizing what I realized ages ago when with the staging being malfunctioned. Just get someone, a cameraman in front of you, and just perform to the cameraman or camera woman or camera person, because ultimately as soon as he goes into the center, we just get intimate camera angles. And the second verse, it's really good. They've done it in a way that the cameraman, it's not distracting. You know, like if with your phone, if you're recording someone, so there's obviously movement, a bit amateur-esque. So that second verse, that's what we get. And obviously it leads up to that, and he really, really gets into it, and the camera's on him, like a kind of like a home recording video, and so you're getting his emotion. You don't need staging. Like I can't tell you how simple everything is in regards to what Germany is doing with the staging, but it just works. So second verse, close up like a phone. So the color scheme is yellow, and it's really good. It's just like maybe 5 or 6 again strobe lights of yellow that comes onto the stage, and he's, as a result of that, in this kind of, for the first part, a yellow light shade on him, which looks really good. And then it turns to purple, which I thought was really, really good. And then after the rap, that's it, after the rap, it all goes black. So you're listening to him and you're really getting into it because he's really going for it. And then it goes black, and then it pans out, and then you realise that actually what they've done with these parts of the staging look really effective. The staging looks amazing, not amazing, Shane, but it looks very, very good. And then we finish with the blue with a blue light colour scheme. Listen, I think everyone is basically saying that Germany is vying for bottom place, not from what I saw. And if it does come last, I mean, it will just be the fact that 24 songs just were better. It doesn't deserve it. Like, I think this song is, 34th out of my top 40. After seeing that, I get it. It doesn't deserve to be last place. Someone's got to be last. But no, from what I saw, it was great. It was simple, but so effective. And the last thing I'll say is, I don't know whether it's accurate to say whether, the big 5 had an advantage because they had more time to work out their staging. But it looked like, from what I could see today, that these ideas that they had were the same ideas they had before people were told that the stage wasn't working. I don't know, and I'll never know. And I don't really want to start that conspiracy theory either. But yes, had an amazing day, loved it, and hopefully what I've just said brings some people comfort, and maybe I've told you something you didn't know, who knows. But yeah, if you're still here, please do subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. Please do click the notification button so you're informed if and when I post videos. And yeah, until next time, stay safe.